When Hideo Kojima said Death Stranding was the first Strand-type game, I scoffed and discounted it as sales mumbo-jumbo. But now I gotta say, sorry Kojima, I wasn't familiar with your game. Because I didn't really play them. But I did play Metal Gear Solid 5 and I liked that so much that the latter half of my YouTube name came from the main character there, Snake. And first half from Dark Souls 3 because it's all about cinders there. So in reality my YouTube name comes from the brains of two very special Japanese men. Fast forward to now and Death Stranding 2 comes out and I watch an entire playthrough of that and it looked pretty good. And I wanted to try for myself, but I don't have a PS5 because it's a waste of money and it all ends up on PC anyway. So I played the first game, the one I remember people kinda hating. And I get it now. I get what Kojima meant and why people hated the game, even if I mostly like it. This is my rambliest intro to a video ever, but I guess that's just the effect this game had on me. Story. Let's get this out of the way right off the bat because it's a can of worms that I want to talk about without opening it and spilling it all over the floor. The story is convoluted and tragic, and where it succeeds is with heartfelt moments between characters and emotional scenes brought to life with great acting. And the one-to-one translation of the actors' faces in motion capture to the video game where it also retains their facial expressions, even subtle ones. It's like a movie with a video game filter on top of it. The character moments and just character writing were my favorite part, especially the main man Norman Reedus. He's a closed-off guy, but in every interaction with people, he's always kind and ready to help.
I'm not getting involved with you, or anyone else, ever again.
Like he will take special care to a person that might have claustrophobia. But he's also ready to fight evil when necessary. So he's the traditional hero type, and I love that. I'm conflicted on the Death Stranding part of it because it's this weird mysterious thing and you wanna learn about it, and it gives the game this spooky vibe, but also it makes the story a lot more convoluted and confusing than it needs to be. And it necessitates a lot more scenes where Scientist Man explains the story at you with some science lingo. And yeah, I get it, but also my attention dropped for like 3 seconds, so I don't get it at all. And that's kinda where the story fails. It bombards you with people talking at you. It's either people explaining the story or explaining a game mechanic or tool 3 times in a row. Or fucking Die Hardman calling me 5,000 times over the course of the game asking me if I have read my mail.
Sam, just checking, but have you been reading your mails?
No, I don't care about my video game mail. I just want you to shut up so I can deliver packages in peace. It's just a little much. Too much rambling about the story and gameplay mechanics when really the game doesn't need it. It isn't as complicated as the writers seem to think. You over-explaining it made it complicated. The story is an enjoyable ride, and if the gameplay seems unappealing to you, then I would definitely recommend watching a YouTube movie of the game. Preferably one that edits out all those unnecessary tutorials. But overall, the story was good, great to look at, and kept me hooked for the 70 hours I played the game. Delivery gameplay. The actual gameplay loop is take package from A to B. But what makes it more engaging is the terrain. The bumpy, hilly, covered in rivers terrain of Iceland, where I live. So going from A to B successfully means picking the right path, or reacting fast enough to Norman stumbling and falling over a small pebble fast enough, and or having the right equipment to deal with all the obstacles that could be in your path. like a canyon, river, hill, ghosts, or worst of all, other people. On the basic level, without any equipment, if Norman stumbles on something, then you just deal with that by holding mouse buttons down. It also stabilizes you in rivers or when you're going down a hill. And if you're carrying a lot, he starts leaning one or another way, and you stabilize that with the mouse buttons. That sounds like a tedious walking simulator, but then you bring in the equipment. Need to go down a cliff? Then you use the rope pin thing. Need to go up a cliff or cross a river? Then use a ladder. Or just take a truck and blow past everything. Except if your truck bumps something while going up a slope, then have fun with your 90-degree turn. It's the most annoying thing I have ever encountered in a video game. Because this should not happen. Cars don't do this. Stop! Slightly bumpy roads also seem to have a special effect on Norman readers. So you can only really use the truck for flat areas, and it's great for massive deliveries. And then you have the bike, which is faster with less storage and pretty great, except I keep losing them in rivers. And when I press S on the bike, I just wish it would actually stop, instead of going on for like 3 more meters after I press it. Sometimes the vehicles are just more of a hindrance than a help, and it's better to go on foot. Especially if you put an exoskeleton on your Norman. An exoskeleton can help you carry more, increase your stability in bad terrain, and make you move faster without draining endurance. Then add to that a carrier and you've effectively turned the Norman into a human car. As long as it's a car driving at legal speed in a school zone. But then you put on the stabilizer. And now you have become Norman Speedus, because you just fly around the place, especially if you also equip the Speed exoskeleton. The stabilizer is a great help, because if there is a slight chance that Sam will fall down from an edge, then Sam will get locked into the falling animation and your cargo will tumble down. The stabilizer prevents that, because you just jump down like a superhero. You can have a lot of fun just conquering the terrain in this game and optimizing the tedium out of deliveries. And that's what I got addicted to the most. Like making the road. You can make buildings in the game with a constructor thingy equipment. I just used it to make electricity generators so my exoskeleton wouldn't run out of electricity. But you can make bridges, zip lines, a safe house, just a bunch of useful stuff. But none felt as useful to me as the road. You don't construct the road yourself, it's just there waiting for you to bring materials, so that it can become a road. I played the game for 72 hours, and at least a sixth of that was delivering materials to the roads. Taking the truck and loading it up with materials and delivering to the road, and raiding enemy bases for materials to build the roads. That was my jam, because it made deliveries so much easier, and what made it even better was that I'm pretty sure other people were also delivering materials to my roads. Strand type gameplay. We are all playing this single player game cooperatively. Someone places a bridge and then I and many others bring materials to it. And then it gets built and now we can all use it. This applies to everything. If you drop a crate of material, then some other guy playing Death Stranding somewhere else in the world can pick it up and use it. Or return it to a station, giving it back to you. And you can donate your equipment to the share locker if you want to help other people out. Or make bridges or something else to help everyone. Finally, a multiplayer feature that is almost entirely helpful. In my playthrough, pretty much everything I would need had already been built by other people, and I never needed to make a car because other people had already made and shared them. My deliveries were fueled by altruism, most of what I would need to succeed already provided by strangers, at least when it came to buildings and vehicles. I most often had to craft my own small equipment pieces, like ladders. So this is what Strand-type gameplay is. Asynchronous multiplayer. Someone takes a walk in the woods and leaves behind a Funko Pop. And then I walk in the woods and find the Funko Pop. And leave it because it's worthless. I love this feature and think it's really cool. But I would have loved to see one really big building that would need a lot of materials and would have to be built by the community working together. That would be like the boss fight of this feature. Even without that, it's really cool to interact with a bunch of people in the game without actually interacting. Combat is really easy and pretty basic. Guns, grenades, melee, all of that noise. You fight people and you fight ghosts. If you kill people, they become nukes. Don't ask. So you can't kill them, so you gotta beat them up, tie them up with a bola gun and then stomp their head or shoot them with a stun gun to get rid of them. If you do kill them, you can apparently just dump their bodies in a river or just ignore it. You'll get a game over later, but you'll be able to get past that with no repercussions. So just do whatever. People are barely a threat. If you run, you will escape every time and you will win every fight by just walking towards them and shooting. It's just a nice break between just walking between places. The ghosts. Before you get any equipment, you have to sneak past them. It's just crouch, go slow and hold your breath, and you'll get past them pretty much every time. But you kinda wanna go fast because the rain will deteriorate and ruin your delivery packages and gear. So you don't wanna go too slow. So it's great when you get the ghost killing weapons, like Norman Reedus's Poop and Pee, which doesn't really do anything. But the Norman blood grenades and guns will kill the ghosts. So when you come across the ghosts, you just throw a few blood grenades at them and walk past. Or just get caught and kill the boss black slime monster. Which is really easy. It's a big slow target that will never be able to attack you as long as you hit it with something as soon as you see it. You also won't have to worry about running out of ammo. If you start getting low, a white ghost will spawn and throw guns, healing items and grenades at you for you to use. Yeah, it's just really easy, no challenge. Just a relaxing game really. Since it's so easy, I just used ghost fights to farm some resources. None of the fights are challenging, it's just a nice break from the deliveries or a cool set piece. An action scene in your movie game. There is also a boss fight with Troy Baker's character, the Joker from Batman, and the same applies to that fight, easy but somewhat entertaining. Combat is okay. It's certainly not the selling point, but it has the same smoothness as Metal Gear Solid 5 had, but no depth. Conclusion. I would call Death Stranding a pretty good movie packaged in a relaxing delivery game. Sure, the traveling between places can be pretty tedious, especially when Norman is tripping or falling when really there wasn't any reason to. Or just going through rough terrain, but when I review a game, what I like to think about is this thing that was annoying or kinda tedious part of the reason why I kept playing the game? I would argue that finding ways to eliminate the tedium is part of why I enjoyed Death Stranding. And so, then the tedium was necessary to accomplish that fun. If we didn't have the tedium, you wouldn't feel good when you finally build that road or bridge or get better gear that makes the game less tedious. If long, slow journeys between places where you just struggle with the terrain doesn't sound appealing to you, then I would recommend watching the game like a movie on YouTube. Because the story is a great ride, the drawback is that you don't appreciate the work that Norman, aka you, has put in during the story. I would recommend playing the game if you're looking for something relaxing. This game was great while I had the flu, and barely had any brain power, and I could just tune out, deliver with my readers and look at the pretty graphics. The Strand asynchronous multiplayer gameplay was also really cool to be a part of, and I really hope my massive road contributions made their way to other people. Because if you tell me that that was just for me and no one else saw how awesome I am at making roads, then I'll Death Strand myself. Kojima, I get it now. Very cool. I hope you go even further with your Strand type gameplay. I guess I'll see if you did in 3 years when Death Stranding 2 releases on PC. Like and subscribe, call me Uncle Brian, and have a cool day.